providing skill-based training more than 60 years. And we strongly believe that the practical oriented training provides the facility for the students to get the placement. And we strongly believe nothing stops learning. So during this lockdown, we wanted to share our expertise with you all. We had set up Industry 4.0 facility in collaboration with Bosch and Fanuc at our Electronic City campus, Bangalore. Today, for this webinar, we have Mr. Bhagavati and Mr. Balakrishnan. We are going to share what Industry 4.0 and be helpful for you. Hope this webinar will provide you the insight and overview what Industry 4.0. Now over to Mr. Bhagavati sir.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Jayakumar. Welcome one and all for this Industry 4.0 webinar. Amidst your different schedules, you have taken your time to attend this. So on behalf of NTTF, we thank you and welcome you for this program once again. So what we will be covering today, we will have broadly 3 sections followed by a Q&A and some discussion points on what will be the next directions. The first section which I will take will be about giving an overview about Industry 4.0, followed by Dr. Bala walking you through a technology primer on Industry 4.0. And the third and last section will be about some of the industry use cases which may be relevant to you, which might be of interest to you, and what is the market projection for Industry 4.0 in this arena. With that brief on session coverage, we will move on to the first section. Yeah, as we all know, we are talking about Industry 4.0 as part of the 4th industrial revolution. By the way, what do we mean by an industrial revolution? Anything that is common across an industry that make you improve your productivity, improve your different agenda for whatever metrics actually that you have chosen for your industry, that can be called as industrial revolution. Many of us actually won't have visualized in person the Industry 1.0, 2.0, but definitely we are witnessing actually 3.0. So what is the Industry 1.0? Industry 1.0 is nothing but actually the advent of steam power and mechanization, which enable the industry to improve its productivity. And then comes Industry 2.0, where mass production of assembly line and the advent of electrical energy further improved the productivity factors. And Industry 3.0 is, we all know, it's nothing but actually using computers and ERP softwares, PLC machines that enhance actually the productivity, that visibility to the senior management on different aspects of the industry. And right now we are in Industry 4.0. Industry 4.0, you can imagine as if a world of engineers interacting directly with the physical systems within the factory, be it a robot or be it a CNC machine or be it a 3D printing, how an engineer or a decision maker actually interacts, how it is done. It is possibly done with the different technologies that we are going to see in this. So Industry 4.0 is not a vision for the future. We are not saying actually it is a vision. It is something actually which is happening already across the globe, in India, in your neighborhood industry, or even it could be actually a small scale industry which is using Industry 4.0 in some or other way. How it is possible, how Industry 4.0 is able to meet this various expectations of the industries across the globe. The industry, the definition makers are still not yet defined actually what could come under Industry 4.0. But broadly, we can say there are 8 pillars to the Industry 4.0, which starts with Internet of Things. The industrial, it can be called as an IoT or an industrial Internet of Things. We have big data supported by artificial intelligence, machine learning, and any of the algorithms that the manufacturers might be using, supported by robotics or cobotics, which are placed in the factory line, additive manufacturing and advanced materials, which is supported by 3D printing. You have modeling, simulation, visualization. One aspect actually which we can touch upon is on the BIM tools, Autodesk BIM tool or any other tool that is used along with the digital twins. And these are all supported by a cloud computing facility, wherein millions and trillions of data at any point of second actually is captured, which is fed to the various algorithms you built on artificial intelligence or machine learning, and which throws dashboards which the senior management can take a decision, or there could be a robo which can work on the dashboards and then take a preventive maintenance or a protective maintenance or things like that. That's how actually the pillars are working together for Industry 4.0. So from the enabler perspective for Industry 4.0 or Manufacturing 4.0, we can call these as the key pillars. But there may be a question, are these pillars actually standard across the globe? Whatever I call it as an industrial smart manufacturing, is it the same company in Germany or company in Japan is calling? That may not be the case because the standards are getting developed. So what are all the global strategies? Germany called this as the Industry 4.0. You could see the change in the spelling. And this is a strategic initiative behind the Germans to make them as lead the market and provide advanced manufacturing solutions. They are inventing, and there are a lot of POCs and use cases that Germany is doing, especially in the automobile industry. And China calls this as a China 2025, which is a strategic plan issued by the Chinese premier, and they are expecting the domestic content of core materials to increase up to 70%. But post-pandemic, this COVID, we are not sure how these numbers will work through. Not only the jargon defined, if you look at Japan is calling this as a society for 5.0, whereas not even the name, actually the numbering change itself changes in the Japanese industry. They were calling the society as society 1.0, agricultural as society 2.0, industrial society as 3.0, and whatever we call it as industry 3.0, we call it as the industry 3.0 was called as an information society or society 4.0, and Japan called this industry 4.0 as society 5.0. What about India? Indian government is also has a separate wing under NASSCOM as well as the Industry Brief Association. They have investing a lot in terms of creating a POCs. For an example, Indian Railways is rolling out locomotive solutions with a remote diagnosis and proactive predictive maintenance. A POC has been already developed, and it is pilot tested in some of the trains. Like this, there are private sector manufacturing companies within India who are developing such solutions and who are implementing this Industry 4.0 solution in line with the global standards. Not only the jargons differ from country to country, there are a lot of misconceptions within the users of Industry 4.0, be it a learner or be it a manufacturer, be it an IT employee, software engineer. There are a lot of misconceptions. Some of the misconceptions are presented here. That people think that Industry 4.0, implementing Industry 4.0 in a particular industry or a particular company will ensure that all humans or majority of the humans will be replaced by machines. No, it is not the scenario. People will work more smarter with the assistance of intelligent terminals or intelligent scorecards that help them improve their productivity, that help them improve their measurability on different parameters. There is another misconception that rolling out Industry 4.0 will reduce my inventory cost and make my process leaner. Definitely not. Unless your process is made leaner, you do a business existing process. Just implementing Industry 4.0 will not result in reducing your inventory cost or making your process leaner. And there is another misconception. People think that Industry 4.0 is very expensive affair. If you look at it from a holistic perspective, looking at the different technologies and the way the Industry 4.0 pathway has been drawn, people tend to think that actually it will be an expensive affair, but it is not the case. As we progress in the slides, you will see what is the pathway you need to take. It could start with actually converting your brownfield to a greenfield devices with a simple sensor, and then developing actually some algorithms to capture the sensor fed data and making an intelligent system, which will start with a few lakhs of investment. And when you go with robotics and when you go with blockchain or a 3D printing, it will go to crores of investment, but it again depends on what you want to achieve with the right kind of technology solution. The next one is the people think that actually I'm going to generate a lot of data. You're not going to create data with Industry 4.0. Whatever data that has been present in your factory, that has been scattered within your organization, are going to be converted as a valuable information, and you are going to use it depending upon your needs. So it is not that actually you are going to generate a lot of data. Data which is already there are going to be captured. Explained with this picture. As I said, actually within the manufacturing industry, or even if you take the case of COVID-19, we know actually there could be a COVID-19 case in the next street, or it could be actually there may be few other people who are getting tested in today's lab. But how do I convert this data into information? As a normal citizen, when I am going into a particular place of a city using this this app from the central government, I can try to find out actually if anyone closer to me is infected by COVID. So how do you convert the data into an information? And with that data, you need to come up with the knowledge. Should I go to this place or not? What is the insight I'm deriving from that information? What is the wisdom actually I'm going to derive from this information that is available with me in my smartphone? Same way, in a manufacturing industry, there are a lot of data. There's a data about your material inward. There's a data about goods returned actually based on quality inspection. There's a data about heat and other digital sensors actually coming from your product line, which talks about the condition of the motor or condition of the instrument which is being used in the shop floor. How do you use this data? You collect this data and then convert them into an information. With that information, what is the knowledge? Your experts in your shop floor or from the industry will be able to come up with an algorithm. How do you use this information so that you create actually a repository of knowledge? And how you have a look at that repository of knowledge will give you a wisdom that will make you change a predictive maintenance path, or when goods need to be shipped to the godown or to the market, it will be able to give various insights actually for you to make a better decision. So the sample journey for a manufacturer to embrace Industry 4.0 could begin with a complete study of where you are. What is the state of maturity I have with respect to my Industry 4.0? What percentage of machines actually contribute to brownfield devices? What are all the greenfield IoT devices that I have to invest in the future? Or can I convert actually my brownfield devices into a greenfield device using a retrofit plug-in sensors or actuators? So this will enable the operationalization of your current devices. You don't have to reinvent or redeploy actually new machineries. And how you can use actually your existing PLCs with Ethernet or IoT connectivity, how you can add machine learning algorithms or artificial intelligence algorithms to work on the sensor captured data that will give you scorecards or suggestions to take corrective actions. So Dr. Bala, in his slide, actually, we will be exploring more on this this pathway, this picture, actually, what you are saying. So having seen this, what are all the technology components that IT is furnishing that make Industry 4.0 a grand success? We all using mobile devices, and I talked about one of the example during the COVID-19. So we have IoT platform. What kind of an architecture I need to invest on? What is the artificial intelligence and machine learning I need to go for? It is not that actually you have to invest on AI or machine learning unless there is a need. You have a Raspberry Pi based IoT devices on which you need to have a machine learning embedded into it, which will give you a course correction. Suppose you are using actually an automated goods inward or a goods store to a warehouse. Whenever actually the warehouse is the rack is getting filled, how it should shift the direction of the pathway or the line into the rack. So that could be actually a machine learning. Or whenever actually you say for a simple consumer good, whenever there is actually a 250 grams of sachet is manufactured, where it should be stored into a rack where 250 milligrams of packets are stored. This will remove actually a manual resource, but a manual resource actually sitting in a remote system will be able to monitor, and using this machine language, they'll be able to control the way actually the goods are stored in the racks. And there are machine to machine communications in a shop floor line. When we talk about step 1, step 2, step 3, when step 2 is completed in a production line, how this machine can how you can ensure this machine talks to that other machine that my stuff is will be getting over in the next 5 minutes. You can start your preliminary operations. How instead of a manual intervention which will cause a delay, the machine to machine communication can happen. And we saw how BIM is extensively used by the metro railways in India to enable them come up with digital twins, or whenever they are going to introduce a ticketing toll. This BIM ensure actually that implementation is smooth and peaceful, and all these are supported by the cloud computing, the location-driven technologies which are used in smart cars or smart city kind of an application, or within the factory also you could have a location-driven technologies. Whenever you are going to monitor the health and physical fitness of your employee when he is dealing with a hazardous chemical or in a dangerous zone, how you can use a location-driven technologies to monitor him from a remote location. And you have an advanced human-machine interfaces. You have augmented reality and virtual reality. So one example on the augmented reality is you have a costly equipment which is installed in your factory line, and using an augmented reality, a shop floor engineer will have guided instruction in his AR headphone, which part to be adjusted or which part to be replaced from an expert sitting miles again. So he could be an expert sitting in Germany, but who is talking to the shop floor engineer how the particular, he need not be trained actually on the latest equipment, but the person who invented actually will be using an augmented reality to rectify it or change settings in a during training period, or in a period like COVID-19 when there is a complete lockdown. EDC, Gartner, and Redmond magazine have created a interconnectedness. So if you can combine the last two, 3 slides. So we talked about data, information, knowledge, insight, and wisdom. And we talked about different technologies. All these technologies cut across for you to use in any or other part of this block diagram. For example, data and information, you will have a sensor. You will have location-driven technologies, smart sensors, which are being used in the capturing of your data or converting them into information. You will have AI or machine language as part of your insight, or making wisdom out of that insight. So, which means all these technologies are connected with each other. For example, if you look at IoT, IoT has a closer connection with cloud to edge development. It has connection to blockchain security. It is connected to 3D printing. As you go through this next session, the technology primer, you will be able to appreciate how just a standalone technology that we talk about will not help you mature the desired level of maturity. You need to deploy actually a combination of the technologies depending upon where you want to go, and what is the timeline you have, and what are the investment plans you have. So with that, I conclude the first section of Industry 4.0 overview. Hold on with your questions. At the fourth section, we will take your questions and answer those. Over to Dr. Bala.
Thank you, Bhagwati sir. Very good morning, everybody. Taking the topic for technology premier means we are taking what are the technology involved to implement the industry 4.0. Thing is Internet of Things. Internet of Things is totally different. The industrial Internet of Things is totally different. Okay. So we are focusing only for industry today, smart manufacturing. So one part is Internet of Things. The another thing is sensor. You should know about sensors. Then connecting network. So if you want to transmit the data, receive the data to one place to other place, means we should have some knowledge in networking part. Then cloud and data analytics part. Cloud part. Nowadays we are sharing the number of data to one place to another place, one country to another country. So we should have some knowledge on cloud and data analytics part. Suppose in present scenario we are taking one machine, we have a number of sensors. So number of sensors, we are taking a sensors 500 milliseconds. Once we are getting one data. So the data management part is very important. So that's why we have to do some analytics in data. So totally we have to focus on four parts for implementing the industry 4.2. I mean, if you want to make a smart manufacturing or smart factory in your four things. One is Internet of Things, then sensor part, cloud and data analytics. Before we are going to that, what is industry Internet of Things versus industry 4.2? So they are giving a different name in different, they are giving China, they are giving different name, Japan, they are giving a different name. So likewise, we can say anything, but this thing is the traditional industry here, traditional industry. Now Internet of Things combine both, we are making for industrial Internet of. Actually, the Internet of Things technology will support to the industry. The traditional industry will convert, I mean, make as a smart industry. Simply we can say the first thing in traditional machines, I have only traditional, I don't have any advanced machines. So what will happen? Machines means basically all the data like a sensor, temperature, humidity, middle. If we are taking a CNC machines, middle feed, how many jobs is done, all the data are shown in our control panel, but we are not taking outside. Okay, so if you want to take outside, so these kind of data we can use some protocols. Using some protocols, we will make acquisition using a gateway or acquisition method. We are taking the data. These data we are collecting a number of data on this place. Once we are taking the data, what we are doing, we have to do analyzing part. After that, we send to the cloud. Once we are receiving the cloud, after that we have to send a concerned person. For example, if you have a internet facility on your tab or mobile or computer or laptop, we can see the visual perception. So this is the basic this is the fundamental actually this is a fundamental way. So how to get the data, how to analyze the data, how to see dashboard. Actually, the final thing is the dashboard. Architecture model of industry 4.2. If you are making a smart factory, first what we have to do? First, this thing integration part. So we have to integrate all the machines. Before integrating all the machines, we have to integrate all the sensor to one part. Then we have to collect the data. While collecting the data, we have to communicate the one. So we have to communicate means we are getting whatever the data you are having, you will make on software. With the software collect all the data, then make a information. We have to make a meaningful information. Then what is the function we have to do? Make a dish. Then we will do the business. So this is the basic architecture of this one. Here I am showing that administration cell concept. The administration cell concept is maybe it coming from hardware, coming from software component. We are collecting the data and what data we want to know, what data we have to show. We will make a production infrastructure. If you're going to any advanced in the smart factory, this kind of so one is for development cycle, second one is the production cycle, third one is the user cycle. So if you want to make any product, first of all we have to develop the product, then we will make a production unit, we will make a manufacturing the product, then we have to supply the customer. So if you want to development cycle, development cycle, first of all we want to know that simulation part. For example, using a CAD software tool, simulation software tool. In that, we want to make if you want to design the car, directly we are not going to design the car. First of all, we will be doing using a CAD tool, we are making simulation, then check the simulation, is it working properly? Then only we are going to make the product, making a manufacturing part will go to, and after that the simulation part is over. So in this place, we are taking a raw data. If you are taking a raw data, how to work it? So we need application software tool. Then we that is a correlation analysis. So what are the data we are getting? What is the relations between two? What are the advantages, disadvantages there? Everything is analyzed here. Then it's going to be design and support. So what is the use of the industry 4.0? What we are doing up to we can see on this dashboard. So what is the status of the development? Easily we can see only for a single room. We can see in anywhere. Then production cycle. Production cycle means, for example, materials. For example, I am making a car. So how many materials are available? How many parts are available? Everything is available. I want to make 1,000 cars. All the parts are available or not? Suppose one part is not there. How I can do the work? So everything it will be confirmed. For example, MBS, SCM, machine data, all the data is considered. Using this we are making. Shall I start the work using the learning algorithms? Machine learning algorithm, using some machine learning algorithm. Suppose if I start the work means I can find out how much time it will take, how many parts I can do it, Everything we can do in the industry 4.2. I mean, smart factory. This is not available in traditional factories, traditional industries. Okay, this is a production cycle. So once production is over, directly we have to supply to the customer. So what happened? Customer means is the customer data is important. If you are getting a customer data, test a customer data, customer feedback, everything. How much? Hello, how much demand is available in this market? So based on this demand, actually at present, all the products, for example, the mobile, they are not making. Actually, they are not making a bulk production. How many demands is available in the market? After that only they are making a production. So it will be save the time, it will save the material, resource, and everything. So this is the basic. This is the overall production infrastructure in the smart factory. So if you are using that smart factory, industry 4.2 smart factory, what is that use? The higher competitiveness, then enhance the productivity, increase the number of customers, and market attractiveness. The competitiveness. So suppose if you are developing, actually, if you are taking a mobile phone, if you are making automobiles, if you are making electronic accessories, mechanical accessories, whatever it is, if you are making on design, if you are sending, uh, if you are supplying to the customer, we should get a feedback immediately. So maybe one or two, if you are releasing in last 10 years before, 20 years before, if you're launching a 10 products, so one or two product will get success. So we have to sell. Suppose 8 products is not success, means we have to give some discount. We are selling the product. But nowadays we don't need to give any discount, or we don't need any do. We're not getting any compromises. So if you are releasing one product, immediately we are getting a feedback from the customer. That is a supply chain. So I think the user cycle, using the user cycle option, immediately we are getting the feedback. So this product is good. This product, all the people, customers are left. So we'll make a manufacturing. We'll make more products. Otherwise, we'll leave this product. We'll make another new design. So this is a higher competitive. Then number of customers. If you are giving a customer like product, we are getting a more customers using market attractiveness. This is also the good option. And production of technology in industry 4.2 as is industry 3.0 network also. So this is the limited one. Suppose I have the unit. Oh no, I can see the data with a unit only. So if you want to see the data in other place, means we have to send through mail, or we have to share the file. Then only we. Now if you are moving to the industry 4.0, the first thing is what happened. Suppose I have the industry anywhere in the world. What I can see, the concerned person, the authority can see what happened in my industry. Then transparency. Why does it happen? Suppose if you're having any problem, if it's going to be good, so it is very transparently we can find out the problem. For example, is going good, then manufacturing is good, but testing unit is not good. So easily we can see the transparent window. So we can see that the testing unit is the problem. Easily we can find out. Then what will happen? Suppose if you are be prepared. For example, I am using one machine. I am using, for example, CNC machine, robot. I am using for robot for assembly purpose. So I can get the feedback of the robot. Robot is working good or not. So using this data, I can find out robot will work in good manner for next 3 months, next 3 years. So I will be ready. I will be prepared for making the money to repair the robot. At present day, we are seeing only for traditional machines. They are having the machines within the machine only. They are having the controller. Manually we are operating. Manually we are writing a note and we are sending the data. At least we are having a laptop or desktop using this PC. We are adding the data. We send to the mail or whatever it is to the concerned person. So how to optimize? Optimization is a very difficult one. So based on different kind of facility, for traditional machines have a different kind of communication protocol. Latest machine have a different kind of protocol. So we have to concern all those things. So if you want to make a smart factory, I mean traditional factory to smart, the challenging part is a self optimization. So we have to develop on this area. If you are generally we are speaking that the one is for technology, process, and those things. Technology means what is the sensor we are using. Nowadays, smart sensors are available. I think all of you know about LED bulb. We can. It's like a smart sensor. We can control anywhere in the world. Like sensor integration. interface the sensor to the controller, and controller connected to the network. Nowadays, IoT based embedded kits and embedded boards, embedded ICs are available in the market. So once we are collecting the data, we have to do analytical part. So there's a process. So the first part, technology, all the data from the industry. Once we are collecting the data, we have to process the data. Once we process the data, artificial intelligence, machine learning part, automatically machine can understand. So this is the problem. This is the suppose we are getting like this problem, we will make like this decision. Everything we can do in the processing level, the strategic level. So we have to assessment what is the inside out or outside in perspective. So what is the scope, the value chain, everything we have to make a like a strategy, like exchange and sharing the data across here. What is the risks are available? So disruption of supply. This is the important one. Suppose we are not making a smart factory. So how to supply? Actually, for receiving a resource or supplying the goods to the customer and everything, we'll make. Actually, if you are getting a data, it will take time. Time delay is the product. It's like a time delay. Supplying delay also important one. Then production delay. If you are receiving the order, we cannot predict how much order we'll get. Once we are getting the order only, we will make a production. Otherwise, if you are making a production, we have the commitment. We should sell. We should sell this product. Compulsory, we have to sell this product. Then we will. So these the production delay, lack of transparency about affected orders and plans. Suppose if you are getting an order, if you're not giving to the particular time, or plan getting some problem, some trouble, mean immediately we are not getting feedback. So as I told, augmented reality, those kind of technology we have to include in industry 4.2 to find out the problem. We have to rectify this problem. Expensive recall and instability and the production program, these kind of the risk and challenges are there. Data demand. Suppose if you're not collecting the data, what will happen? So planned production volumes. So if you want to make a production, we have to plan. Before the production, we have to plan. So how many what is the demand now? How much production I have to do? This kind of clarity is very important in the manufacturing unit. Then actual production volume. What is the actual production volumes available in the at present? Inventory levels, capacity of utilization, then supply and delivery network. This is the way. If you are supplying that goods to the customer, we have to think how many goods are delivered. Suppose if I delivered the goods, if nowadays all the persons are ordering the goods in online. So we have to check how many goods are delivered, how many goods are returned. If we are getting a return, means what is the feedback of them. So everything we have to think. Likewise, order for directed for suppliers, inventory level, planet, capacity utilization of the particular planet in trans, getting and receiving, and all those things. New topic for the digital twin. Digital twin is nothing, it's a virtual dashboard. Okay, so if you are taking this, first of all, it's considering not only for digital twin, we can apply for the maintenance part, supply chain risk management, efficient material management, prediction part, design support, simulation part, the material science, adaptive tool engineering, manufacturing unit, predictive process, all the areas we have to use the digital twin. So this what is the it is a virtual dashboard. I'm saying here the design and engineering. Design engineering, if you I am showing this on car, I made a design. So before I am making it, before I'm making manufacturing, I'm making production. What I am doing, so once simulation part is over, simulation part is successful, I will go to the real time. I mean real physical hardware. So what happening in simulation? Simulation will show the 99% of the result. For example, material management. Material management mean if you want to know how many materials are available, what the material I have to purchase. So everything we can see on the single dashboard. The manufacturing, in manufacturing, status of the product, everything is done or not. So if we need any resources need, so any demand is available. I have the thousand. I mean, I have a number of demands. Is this particular time calculation? So everything we can do. The next thing is distribute. So distribution already we discussed. So if you want to distribute the product on the customer side, so how many time it will take, how much we can do, is it going to good or on particular time is correct or not. So everything we can see that one. Then user and service. So suppose if you're supplying the product, if we are getting a feedback from the users, is it good or bad? So if it is bad means, so we have to change the methodology, we have to change the product, If you have some problem in particular product, we have to change the design. So from user, if you are getting, it will directly go to the design part. So if you are not an industry 4.0, if you are getting a feedback, we'll write to the concerned person, he will make the concerned person. So person it will take time. But this, if you are making 4.0 on your company, so it will directly go to the design and in the design and development. They will find, oh, this is the problem, the consumer feel like that, so we have to make alternative design. So material is problem. So you are telling, sir, I am for my bike, whatever I am changing my tire, it will not give a mileage or whatever. So it will go to the design and development. So they are giving a feedback, sir, our design is good, it is not good. So it will go to the material management. Material also good, the manufacturing, the assembly part, this thing they are making some problem. So they are not following the procedures, they will take action. So everything we can see that. For example, everything is good for transportation. They are making a product getting a damage. We can call this department. So digital twin will show the dashboard of everything. See, I will show some example for supply chain management. What we have to find, what is the demand, capacity, and supply bottleneck management we can apply. See the production stability, offer stock, how much available, delivery quality, we can see that. Then industrial assets, if you are using some tools, CNC machines, robotic machines, 3D printing machines, if you're having a machines, we have to find out what is the problem will happen on my machine. So predictive maintenance, condition and monitoring, and fast development to increase the productivity, to reduce the DCO, overall equipment efficiency, it will be increased. Then the product data driven business model and service based business model, it's reach the customer. So we have to increase the customer loyalty, increase that customer retention. We have to service for profitability also, we can increase. This is the advantage of the digital one. So now we come that detailed core part. So what is IIoT, what is IoT, what is Industry 4.0, what is the difference between Industry 4.0, how we can implement, where do we can implement, what is the advantage, disadvantage, like that thing. Now what I'm doing basically sensor part. Sensor part is nothing. Normally we are using it. Sensor means it will convert to numerical part. So for that purpose, at present they are using for DAQ DAC sensor. So it's a sensor. It will convert a physical numerical part. After that, we are using that. After that, IoT. So recently we are using IoT. So first one and second sensors are working separately, but third, the IoT part, sensor act as a communicate both way. The sensor, it's a weight sensor. Weight sensor, it's a physical. If you're placing any weight, it's a physically. It's going to the control center. Once the control center based on this weight, we have to do some other work. It will act as a actuator also. This is the basic thing. Now what we are doing, what are the sensors are available? Triggering event sensor. We are saying that sensor is a triggering event. For example, I am using this machine on particular temperature. For example, 40 degrees I am getting a value from sensor 48 degree, so I will stop the work. So it will be trigger the event. It will take the decision. So it will driven as a. So light, temperature, humidity, pressure, accelerometer, IR sensor, proximity sensor, ultrasonic sensor, smoke or gas sensor. So likewise, nowadays they are using an image sensor, sound, video, live video feeds. These are the triggering event. So we are getting a feedback from these sensors. We'll take the action. What kind of action we can take using AI driven after the machine learning process? We'll convert to AI process. What we can do? We can send the notification. I am production. I am making a product using some particular machine. So I am finding some anomalies or unwanted event. I can send a notification to concerned person or concerned thing. The change or system configuration. So already I have a system, some kind of system configuration I want to change. I can change. This is the entity Industry 4.0 lab black diagram. What I am doing here, the sensors are available. Sensors collect the data from the CNC machine. Actually, we are having a CNC machines, robotics, advanced CNC machines, printing machines also available. So we are using for Fanuc machines, Fanuc controller, and Siemens controller also available in our NDTF campus. So Fanuc controller collect all the sensor value from the machine and send to the local area network, through this local area network bus. So it will collect the data to that using the operation management software tool. Operation management software tool, it's a Fanuc based tool. It's an empty linky tool. Using this empty linky tool, what I can do, I can collect all the data, I can process the data, I can make a dashboard. Uh, Dashboard of all the machines. At present in NDTF connecting the 20 machines, it include for CNC machines, robot and 3D print. The machines, sir, how we can, I think you have the questions now. Actually, I met some people, they're asking the questions. Actually, this is for IP, at IP based, we are using for IP based communication. It's a network communication. Okay, so IP based means we are using for focus protocol. The having a Fanuc controller, each one provide a manufacturer having a different protocols. Otherwise, I don't want to the protocol means we can use for OPC UA protocol, open platform communication. This is used for suppose you don't have any particular controller particular protocol, so we can use commonly we can use OPC UA. Using this OPC UA, we can collect any controller, maybe PLC, maybe robot, maybe CNC, whatever the controller can communicate through Ethernet port, Ethernet IO port, we can collect the data. This is a basic thing. So using a OPC UA license, we have to collect the data and we will make a dashboard. See this one, sorry, this one is our industry 4.0 laboratory setup. Like this only it's available. We have to collect using this kind of one. So this is the basic black diagram. So it's coming from sense, it's go to controller connect to the my server PC2 using a Ethernet port, I mean local network. So it will send through local network to all the data to my server. My server have one database. All the data are stored in my database. After receiving the database, the data from my database, I will make a dashboard. So suppose I am sending on data from my controller, I mean CNC machine or robot machine, 500 milliseconds once it will update. So nowadays we need a time is very precious. So time time for time concern, we will collect the data much fast. This is a basic working principle. I mean working idea for Industry 4.0. So I think if you have a doubt, not only for these robots, ABB robot, and different kind of Mitsubishi robot. Mitsubishi. Any robot we can interface like this method only. So before that, what is the machine to machine communication and IoT? We have to know the machine we have used for hardware based. So machine to machine communication means we are collecting the if I send to the controller, it will not getting a feedback and everything. Software based. The vertical horizontal application difference one is deployed in closed system. If you are making any system machine to machine communication means it will, but it's connecting a large network. If you are making the IoT, suppose I have the center on one place, I have the I need another place also we can see. So it's a large network. Suppose if you are having a one unit in one unit, you have to club with all the data. Then it's a machine to machine communication only. But now IoT, if you're implementing the IoT thing, This is the machine. This is the sensor data. Sensor data we can see in machine. There is a machine to machine communication. But what is the IoT? These data I can receive through the internet and through the networking part. I using the management software. I will collect the data and store on my database. I can see here. From here, for example, in CNC machine we can update the program. So I am developing simulation software. I am writing a program using a CNC simulation software. I am sending through this computer. I can send and operator can execute that program and they will make a production. So this kind of server we can set it anywhere. You can, so they can development team we can place a manufacturing unit or production unit, wherever they want they can send it. You also send the feedback also. This is the advantage. So it is a machine to machine communication also possible, machine to human also possible, human to machine also possible. So machine to machine communication we are not using for Ethernet based IP protocol. So here we are using IP protocol. Cloud we are not using any, we are not using any cloud. But if you are taking IoT, we are using cloud. It's a one-way communication. Sensor will collect the data from the physical world, send to the controller. That's it. But here we are giving back to forth communication. It's a two-way communication. Sensor collect the data, will send to the one, and if you are giving any command on that particular controller, will obey it. So based on the design, if suppose I mean CNC machine we can override the program. Robot we can override the program, but we cannot operate from our this software tool. I'm telling software tool we cannot. So this is for Fanuc. Suppose if you are going to Siemens, means they are having Minds software also available. This also they are giving a offline software also available, online software also available. Then the purpose is monitor multiple applications. Here we can see whatever the data is coming from the band. Here, whatever data I can from sensor collect the data, send to the data. See what happened. That's it. But if you're going to IoT thing, it's a multiple applications. All connected. Actually, here say all the sensor data are collected to the database. Once I am collecting the data, I can use multiple applications, multiple analytical purpose. Anything I want, I can use it. So multi-level communication. I can send the data one place to another place. Everything is it is possible. Integration option, it is a very limited, but it's an unlimited thing. It's a structured data. If you're taking any controller, they are communicating through sensor. We are getting from a sensor on structured one. But this data, structured data also welcome. We can process. This is the thing is IoT. This part is an important one. Use of the migration to the cloud. Actually, in NETF we have both facilities available. We are doing collecting sensor data. We are connecting to the controller using the Ethernet communication. Gathering data we store in our own PC, own server. Okay. So this is my own database. This is my own database. I am collecting the data from my machines. The another thing is what we are doing, collecting the data and stored in my PC. Then from PC I am sending to the cloud. So cloud, for example, Amazon Web Service, they are giving a cloud space. Microsoft Azure also they are giving a cloud space. Google Cloud, Alibaba Cloud, Oracle, IBM server also they are giving a cloud space. Actually, they are giving limited. I mean, they are giving a reasonable cost. They are giving a cloud. If you want to get some experience, if you want to know some, no, I mean, if you want to implement this Industry 4.2 on the cloud, means you can select Amazon or Microsoft. Nowadays you will make your own cloud also. It is possible. Suppose if you have internet, I mean, networking and sorry website facility in your website also you can make it. So if you want to more security, already there these kind of service provider they are developing. So once you purchase the particular brand, particular you can use this your data migration to the cloud. So what is the benefit or of this thing? So if you are making your own cloud, sorry, if you are making your offline server, we can see within our campus only. One cloud also we can see anywhere. We can send the data anywhere. We can make a. But if you are going to this thing, so we are just making a user ID and password. They are giving a more security. Data will be safe. So everything, it's security purpose. We are going to that the particular provider like Amazon or Microsoft, Google, IBM, Oracle like this. Okay, this is that. Is that first of all? First of all, we are seeing what is the Internet of Things, what is sensor, connecting networks, and cloud. The thing is that data analytics. I think all of you imagine, like for example, the machine. I have the CNC machine or robot machine. Per second, I am getting minimum 10 to 15 sensors. They are sending a data. So I'm implementing for 10 robots for manufacturing unit. I'm using a 10 CNC machine for manufacturing unit. Just so how we can collect? Is it possible? So it is not possible. Actually, we are getting an n number of data processing time also. So we want to reduce that. For that, we are using for the machine learning algorithms. So if you're taking a machine learning algorithms, it have for supervised learning, unsupervised learning, and reinforcement learning. Three kind of machine learnings are available. Already you much familiar. I mean, a little bit familiar about the supervised and reinforced machine learning part. So I'm telling you that group of algorithms. For example, I want to find out anomaly detections. For example, if a medical, I'm watching that this is working properly. Suddenly, I'm getting some vibration in my CNC machine. So this is called as anomaly detections. So for this purpose, I'm using for one class SVM algorithm, PC based algorithm, Gaussian mixture models, and logistic regression. I'm using this one. So normally I'm doing some other work. For example, I am doing 1,000 products per month. Suddenly, it will increase for 1,500. It will reduce for 700 means I am seeing some variations. So this kind of variation automatically it will predict. For example, it will take for 1 hour. Once it will go into high means it's manually we can see, but it will go for 1 seconds, 2 seconds. Once it will go to high, uh, come it again. It's come to the normal means it's difficult to find out. So using this algorithm, we can easily predict our machine, our production unit is going to be good, going to be normal or not. We can find out. Then algorithms. This is the classification algorithms. Classification algorithm for diagnosis the problem. If you are having some error, so all the products are going good. Some products are not it's not going good. So we can get the feedback from testing team. So we have to diagnosis. Once we are diagnosis, so we are getting a feedback from testing team. You are making some error product. So we'll correct it on particular machines. So for that purpose, we are using for neural networks, support SVM, support vector machines, decision forest, bias classifier. These kind of algorithms are familiar thing. So if you suppose I don't want to use these algorithms, you can make your own algorithm. You can use it. That's not an issue. Then predictive. Predictive is an important one. We are using ARMA. The linear regression. Linear regression is a familiar one. Bias regression, NN regression. This kind of algorithms we have to predict. For example, predict means we can go that one. Supervised means already we are having the data. Yesterday I make a production. Production is going to be good. It's going to be normal. Tomorrow is going to be bad. So I will collect all the data. will feed it on my future data. So I can predict what are the characters are there. If I am giving like this character, like this input, I'm getting this is the output. So it's supervised learning. Unsupervised learning is we cannot predict. We have to the machine. If you're having this much problem, if you're finding this much this much, how to give, you have to say you have to say it's good or bad. It's going to be good. It will say percentage. So if you're taking that linear regression, predictive supervised learning, unsupervised learning. Supervised learning is 100% accuracy. It will say yes or no. But unsupervised learning thing without giving any output. So giving input only it will take. But these things we have to give input and output. We will make one model. Then only we will use this algorithm. But here we are giving input. We will make our own model. We will get output. So it unsupervised accuracy. Mostly we are using for reinforcement learning. Reinforcement learning is totally different. We are using sometimes we are using output. Sometimes we cannot use the output for use case. So we have to combine both, and we are making one algorithm that is called algorithms. So baseline, diagnostic, predictive. This kind of three purpose we are using the algorithm, machine learning algorithms. Analytics in operations. So baseline, what are the data we are collecting? Baseline data. What is the time? For example, machine vibrations. Machine is going to be good. What is the clock cycle? What is the current? What is the voltage? What is the temperature? What is the friction? Whatever it is, the baseline data. Then operational data, work history data. So if you want to baseline analytics, for example, if you want to already I am going to be good. I am getting a certain change on 1 2 seconds, 3 seconds. Actually, if your changes in 15 minutes, 10 minutes means easily we can find within 1 second. How we can find it? It's very difficult. Machine will find automatically. So it will show within a 2 seconds, 3 seconds. Once it will change. So we can find out. So it's a baseline data. So using the baseline data only, we have to find out what is that action we can find out. We can find. Then if you want to diagnosis the particular area, so we have to use for two data, the baseline data, and if you want to find out predefined analytics. So if in CNC machine I am getting some vibration, okay, I am spindle speed is going to be spindle speed RPM is going to be high, so it will damage. So we have to find out. So find out the feature. So using this one, so for this purpose, I am using for baseline data, fault data, operational data, and work history. I am using 4 of us. So find out for prognosis. Future detection. Thank you. This is my.
Thank you, Dr. Balakrishnan. So I will Mr. Bhagwati sir.
Yes. Thanks, Sujit, and thanks, Doctor. It was a very informative session.
Okay, sir. I will change. Yeah. Thank you all.
So we are on to the third and last section, which is Industry 4.0. What are all some of the industry cases that we can go through, and what is the market projection? So whoever is in this call would like to know if for my career purpose or if I am part of an industry, what kind of an investment I need to take, what kind of a path I need to take, and this may be giving you some insight on how the industry is performing in this area. So before getting on to the use cases and the projections, uh, this will be summary of some of the points actually that Dr. Bala was explaining with cases. So the industry 4.0, you be in whichever industry, it helps you achieve greater productivity and better management of resources. When we say better management of resources, it could be your man, machine, as well as the information or the wisdom that you have invested. How you can allow your wisdom to be available to the selected people, be it in a cloud using a secured security measures, how you can make the resources, the wisdom available to the particular person at the right time, how you can efficiently make a decision making based on the real information. Decision making will no longer be based on the past data. It is going to be based on the dynamic data that I'm getting. For example, if the factory has got a bandwidth of electricity with the government of with the electricity officials, and if there is a bandwidth, daily bandwidth on which actually the factory has to rank, anything that goes beyond that will be at a premium charge. So with the digital to analog sensors captured, what is the consumption of power in each and every device, and whenever it is going to exceed a particular bandwidth, you automatically switch off or lock down actually some of the machineries so that you are able to make an efficient decision, automatic decision based on real information. Earlier, without this IoT, people used to have an electrician running around in the factory, and based on the data which he has captured, maybe an hour back or 2 hour back or projection, he'll shut down machines in a sequence. It's no longer with the case. And you will be able to optimize and integrate your entire productive processes. You will be able to increase the flexibility of a mass production. At the same time, you will be able to customize a particular product based on a specific requirement. From a factory or from any part of your operations, you will be able to communicate directly to the clients, give them work in progress. It could be a crude, simple example. Most of us are using Swiggy. So whenever Swiggy takes an order and when it has placed it with the hotel, you will be able to see actually that your order is getting processed. The person is taking is carrying your parcel. He will reach you in 20 minutes. So this is a form of IoT being used in a food delivery chain. So the Swiggy or whichever application or the vendor is able to directly communicate to the vendor on live events. The same way is possible in a manufacturing scenario or which is happening. Reduction of manufacturing time, both in the design of new products or in merchandising these. So we were talking about actually the go-to market. So whenever you are talking about a seasonal product, when you should have your goods ready, and based on the fluctuations of the demand on the market, when you should merchandise it, how you can reduce the percentage of defect or shrinkage using various algorithms that Dr. Bala was explaining. So these are all the benefits from Industry 4.0, and it is applicable to any of the industries. You could be actually a tobacco product manufacturing company, or you could be a motor vehicle company, or it could be a basic metal handling equipment factory, or you could be a furniture manufacturer. Name it, you have a avenue of using Industry 4.0 in any of these industries. We are going to see actually some of the use cases in a few industries. This is thanks to the NASSCOM presentation, which is available in the site. For example, in the manufacturing and supply chain, monitoring of health workers' health is possible through an IoT. We were talking about device-dependent devices. So you have a smartphone which capture your heart rate or pulse rate, and using an algorithm, you try to capture actually the health condition of a particular person. And we are talking about videos being used as a sensor. You have earmarked actually a boundary within your factory beyond which actually a worker is not supposed to cross. Using live stream of video captured from that particular place, whenever he is crossing that boundary, an alarm could develop, which makes the worker or someone else actually available to rescue him in case if he is crossing that border. It could be used for a security measure, or it could be used for monitoring actually people who are on the shop floor. And you will be able to, some of the cases in the manufacturing industry goes like, I talked about it, the energy management to save costs, location tracking to track the movement of goods as well as workers. when a good is actually moving from shop floor A to shop floor C or from a finished good track, so you will be able to track it and automatically increment actually your finished good products, which will be visible to your sales team or to your supply chain team. How you will be able to increase actually supply chain visibility in an automobile industry. Same way in a healthcare industry, you could have a connected thermometers, smart wearables actually where a doctor sitting in a remote place will be able to monitor a patient whenever there is an emergency and then give some suggestion to the field doctors or the duty nurses in that place. And how you are going to use advanced analytics methods, AI and machine learning method, which we are seeing right now in the COVID-19 scenario. So not only the doctors, AI and data scientists are using this data and coming up with predictive algorithms of how the virus spread is going to be, or in terms of curing this virus. So IoT is there in each and every part of this industry that we are talking about. As of 2019, this picture shows how IoT has been implemented in different industries. 23% of the IoT revenue has come from the implementation from a manufacturing industry. The energy and utilities industries actually stands second with 15%. Healthcare and telecom actually with 10%. Travel and aerospace with 9%. And you have retail and CPG with 7%. With hospitality, so that is actually a fine line between travel, which could come under hospitality as well. So that is the least one with 1% of spend in the IoT. Post-COVID, or even if we take the scenario in the last 3 months, some of this percentage might have drastically gone up the way actually people have adopted IoT, especially in the healthcare, telecom, and the government bodies. The government bodies from 2% you would have gone to say maybe 6 or 7% in the last 6 months itself. The projections with different industries, the CAGR as per 2019 was at 8.1, is expected to grow at 8.1%, with leading to close to $110 billion spent by 2023. So which are all the sectors actually which are growing with more than 50% of CAGR by 2023? We have a consumer electronics, we have the automotive industries, healthcare and life sciences, energy and utilities, retail, which was at 7% is expected to reach a double digit in 2023 in terms of the IoT spend. We will have actually a sample of some of the technologies. The one is actually 3D printing. 3D printing is one of the technology pillars of Industry 4.0. By 2023, it is expected to grow at 19.1 degree CAGR in the 3D printing itself. And the expected industries that are going to contribute this are healthcare and life sciences industries, education, professional services, transportation and logistics, and again, retail industry. 3D printing with POC use cases will alter the way the mainstream technology for serial production or any industry that is feasible to implement in the aftermarket parts production. These are all some of the industries which are going to heavily use 3D printing. 3D printing is, as you saw, actually is nothing but the additive manufacturing. And the driving factor for 3D printing to be used is the way it is decreasing the material cost, the way the market is foreseeing decrease in the material cost, and how they are able to increase the process of productivity. 3D printing is becoming a key driver in the digital manufacturing space. Some of the examples are Mercedes is using 3D printed spare parts using a composite printing technology for 300 SL couple as well as SL Roadster classic automobile. Tata Motors, they are using a 3D prototyping using laser sintering or stereolithography machines. Maruti, as part of their welding and testing, they are using a 3D printing prototypes which are created specific for a particular design testing or engineering testing or a mass scale production areas. Robotics actually is again, robotics are a robotics that is expected to grow from $112.4 billion spent to 300 billion, a CAGR growth of 17.8%. And the industries which are going to contribute this are the wholesale industries, retail industries, construction industries, agriculture industries. And with the way actually world is looking for no touch shopping or a no touch customer experience in different areas, this robotic spend will definitely increase from 17.8 to maybe 25 or 30%. It could be actually just from the consumer space to the even to the industry space. The worker community actually will be wanting to work in their production line without touching the possible machines which are susceptible for a virus infection. A robot actually will be able to help them in achieving this. For example, Bosch, as part of the Vidadi plant at Bangalore, they are having cobots work along with humans. And for Maruti at their Manesar plant, they are using actually 2,000 robots. And same way, Mahindra is have used robots actually as part of their Nasik plant for manufacturing their XUV 300. So the market sign and the projections are positive. And not only on this different IoT related pillars, in terms of the technologies like cloud computing, the projection is by 2025, the cloud computing is expected to be at 6.2 trillion global GDP. And the big data and analytics, it is expected to grow at 50%. 175 zettabytes of data being created using in the public cloud, not leaving aside the private cloud that companies will be using for confidential data. And artificial intelligence, it is expected to be impacting 2025 at US $6.7 trillion. And IoT is expected at the same rate at 6.2 trillion global GDP by 2025. There will be more than 1 trillion of IoT devices actually we are connected across the globe. So the projections are from NASSCOM and other industrial leaders are promising and will give you a good directions on what kind of a role actually you need to play based on your current domain knowledge or your experience in the particular technologies. You can choose a particular technology or you can choose a role, whether you are going to be a smart manufacturer, job shop person with Industry 4.0 knowledge. NTTF has got a shoot of different courses for you to choose and plan your career. Before I get on to the Q&A session, I would like to take your attention to this picture. This gives you a glimpses of the lab at NTTF Bangalore, specific to the Industry 4.0 Smart Factory. You have robots connected. The Fanuc monitor that Dr. Bala talked about is available for you to give you a hands-on experience of all of the technologies that we talked, plus few others actually that we have not covered with the time limits. And for you to choose a career, I will request you to have a look at the NTTF site when you have a time post this, which gives you an idea of what are all the Industry 4.0 related courses that NTTF offer to a working executive or a student who is just from a college or who is in the final year to looking for a career path. It could start from a embedded C programming. It could be a human machine interface with PLC training, robotics with MATLAB, 3D printing hands-on training. There will be a course, basic course on robotics. You will have a course on PLC automations. You will have a course on SCADA. Using Siemens or the Fanuc, you have a mechatronic course. A lot more. So you could have a look at it and you could connect with Sujit or the team who is available here to help you to give you a consultancy on what best suits for you. So with that, I end this session. Thank you for your time, and whatever questions you have, please put it in through the chat box.
Thank you so much, Bhagavati sir.
Actually, the questions from Sayan Ghosh. He is asking, actually, can you repeat that vertical application from M to M communication? The machine-to-machine communication is a traditional one. So we have to use only for particular application. For if you are collecting the data, so I can collect the data only. So and what I have to use once I am collecting the data, I will display on my LCD monitor. That's it. That is for vertical, particular specific application. So we can say that it's a vertical application. The horizontal applications is IoT. Why do we are saying the horizontal applications? So once we are getting a data, I can say this is the data, this is the value. For example, I am getting vibration from the machines. This is the vibration. So this is the only one application. But in IoT, same data I can use for predictive analysis. So actually, I can use the multiple. So commonly I can use any kind of, for example, data prediction, making a dashboard, analytics part. So I want to send the data also. I can use a multiple thing. So this is the basic difference between vertical applications and horizontal applications in Industry 4.0. If you're making any industry, this is the difference.
Yeah, there was a question about what is field device. I don't remember actually who had asked. The answer is common digital field input devices. Some of them actually Dr. Bala was talking about. It could be actually a push button or a limit switches or a photo eye. And there could be a digital output device, which are all relays or motor starters and solenoid valves. So these are all some of the field devices that was referred. I hope actually it answers the question. And there was a question actually whether it should be called as Industry 4.0 or Industry 4.0. When you write it, actually, it is written as Industry 4.0, but people, in an American style of talking, actually, they call it as a Industry 4.0. But what we mean is actually Industry 4.0. I could see a question on privacy issues in Industry 4.0. Definitely, that is a growing challenge in Industry 4.0, especially when you are exposing actually your critical data, live data through a public cloud, and you have actually access controls. You need to improve actually your security measures, and you should be vigilant on who is accessing through various security softwares with access control and login privileges. You should be able to protect your privacy issues.
While using IoT, is it a hackable thing? Actually, we can say yes. So for that purpose, we are making a more security. For example, Cisco is offering some IoT thing, so they are making a security. Yeah, we need some security. I received one more question. The Industry 4.0, is it a substitute to manpower?
Sir,
We can say yes, but it will be moved too fast. For example, if you are having production details on your production unit, if you want to know immediately, within a second, you can know. So Industry 4.2 make your industry is smart and fast, but it will not move to that man.
yes, sir. Any other questions, candidates? Please post your questions.
I received from our student, I think he's on doing CP8. He's asking, give some information about Industry 4.0 in CP8 field. Industry 4.0, it's not only for the mechanical thing. Industry 4.0 included mechanical thing, electrical thing, electronics, and software. So as a CPH student, if you're learning the software, means you can develop as a network engineer in the Industry 4.0, as a software developer in Industry 4.0, as a communication engineer, what is that? Network security engineer, network cyber security engineer as a Industry 4.0. You can play any role.
Thank you so much, Dr. Balakrishnan. Any other questions, please? I'll just go ahead with Jay Kumar, sir. He would like to address something.
So this webinar is hosted through entity of School of Computing Sciences. We also call it as a reskilling program. And this reskilling program is exactly we made it for the people, those who are working in industry, wanted to upgrade their skills. This is the program is exactly matching for that, in which we are offering a lot of programs. And for Industry 4.0 related, we are partnering with the Bosch. And in association with Bosch, we are offering an exclusive hands-on training. The NTTF is very well known for this hands-on training. It's a 5 days program, and it is completely industry oriented. This industry 4.0 for the industry professionals focusing on automotive industries or manufacturing industries or process engineering or oil-based industries, any industries, right, wanted to implement Industry 4.0, this is the OPT program. And it's a 5 days program where 3.5 days we'll provide training at our facility in NDTF, where we set up the Industry 4.0 in collaboration with Bosch and Fanuc, where the CNC machines, 3D printing, robots are connected with us, and 1.5 day with Bosch. The Bosch people, the experts will come and train us. And half day is visit to the Bosch, where they had implemented an excellent Industry 4.0 facility with all IoT applications, with sensors and all. That gives us the complete perspective how Industry 4.0 works. So we got very good feedback. We conducted one program in January. We got very good feedback from the participants. And this hands-on practical exposure at NDTF State Industry 4.0 COE, and I visited Bosch multi-class manufacturing plot at near to the Bididi. And as I mentioned, we conducted in January. So this is some of the photos of the participants. This is at the Bididi plant, where all the participants are taken to the plant and they visited the complete manufacturing process there of the Bosch facilities. And the testimonial given by the participants are available in this YouTube. So you are welcome, and I request all of you to go and see the feed. This is our website. You can go and visit our website, where you can get to know about all our programs, not only Industry 4.0, all other programs also there. And for any specific reasons, for any courses, you can contact or send a mail to these addresses, it.reskilling@ndtfco.in, or you can contact me, or you can contact Sujit. For this contact number is given and the mail is also given. You can send for any queries. So thank you all for joining us for this webinar. And most of you given your valuable feedback. Really, it is very much valuable for us. And the feedback form is posted. You can give your feedback in the form, and we will be giving you the certificate. Those who all participated, we will give you the e-certificate. You will be receiving in your mail within some few days, maximum some 3 days. You will get it in your mail ID. So thanks, Mr. Bhagwati sir and Mr. Bala for presenting, and thanks Sujit for good organization. Good, thank you all for this session. Good, thank you.
Thank you, Jaykumar, and thank you all.
Thank you so much, Dr. Balakrishnan, Bhagwati sir, and Jaykumar sir. Thank you so much.
And one more information. And one more information, just we are conducting a series of webinar like this. Not only this, we are going to conduct a lot of topics are there, like robotics, RPA, R programming, machine learning, AI. These all webinars we have planned. You all also can attend, and you can recommend to your friends or neighbors or your college mates or your industry partners. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, everyone.